Hi, thanks for visiting salesandmarketingforyou.com, separated by hyphens. I'm Hussein Zaidi, your host. I really appreciate you visiting my website. I wanted to continue chatting about, from a you marketing perspective, you being your customer and your most important word. I wanted to continue talking about the four fundamentals of marketing. And you can see this hodgepodge of activity on my whiteboard here. I'd initially listed out the four fundamentals of marketing as who is your customer, where is your customer, as well as how do you reach them, number three, and then what do you say to your customer. And I've maintained, my dear viewer, for the longest time that these four are the fundamental questions in marketing that you ask. Once you know who your customer is, where your customer is, how you can reach them, online, offline, are they at a mall, do you reach them, through newspapers or what have you. But once you know who they are, where they are, how to reach them, and that includes things like, channels. Do I go with flyers? Do I go with email or phone or something in print, or do I send someone around in person? And then finally, what do I say to them? And as I got into discussing these, I like to quote and talk about what I call the six serving men. I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who talked about, quote unquote, he said something like, everything that I've ever learned, I've learned from these six serving men of who, what, where, why, how, and when, something like that. So that's really the gist of this. And as I got into thinking more and more about this, I realized that really, you can actually take this into the next level in a sense. So, once again, I used to list the four out discreetly, and then I realized it's really who, where, and what. Who's my customer? Where's my customer? And what do I say to my customer? The how is a subset in a sense of where, right? Once I know where they are, how to reach them. It's part of that function. The reason I want to know where they are is so that I know how to reach them. I'm less interested in the weather or in the tax or in the local economy or anything like that. My purpose in knowing where they are is to understand how I can reach them. And there may be some other socio-economic factors to pull into the mix. I mean, what I try to stay away from as a marketing guy, I've gone to this school and I've got my business degree. Just like other marketers, but all too often people get caught up in all of these marketing terms like demographics and reach and all these kinds of the 4 Ps of marketing, all these kinds of terms and nomenclature that oftentimes in my mind, and perhaps in yours as well, reader and viewer, they obfuscate, they actually end up clouding the picture. And what I've tried to do on salesandmarketingforyou.com, separated by hyphens, and what I try and do if you visit me on my website or if you shoot me a note with a question, is I'll try not to respond with all kinds of technical marketing speak, but rather try and simplify things for you. So once you've asked who, where, how, and what as the first iteration of the four fundamentals of marketing, you can actually take this to the next level, or at the very least, I want to talk about this some more. In terms of who is my customer? So if you ask a cardboard copy kind of cut and dry cookie cutter sales and marketing person, and even a corporate sales and marketing person, who is my customer, you're likely to get things like, oh well, the median age group is 25 to 36, and it's a single family person, or it's a young earner, or some kid at university, or some kind of demographic measurement. Once again, that's less important to us. What we're looking for are people to buy our product, right? Basically, and quite simply. And the people who buy our products are going to be the ones, the people with whom we are a best fit with regards to our product. That's really what we're looking for. And those are going to be the people whose needs we can meet most adequately. And to the extent that you can serve someone's needs better than anyone else, to that degree and to that end, I mean, if you can serve someone's needs better than anyone else, then they're more likely to be your customer more than anyone else's, right? So the extent to which you can serve someone's needs uh, makes them a viable prospect for you. And then the second part of that obviously is communicating that with them and getting a relationship going, because just having a product that can serve their needs is not enough. And going on from needs, we look at the values of our customers. You know, I've got this great article called Sales and Marketing Values, and I really thought about it long and hard, and as usual did a lot of research, and I came up with all of the idealized values that a person can have in general, things like love and beauty and excellence and honesty, all of those things that we idealize in as much as, you know, you could almost call them virtues. But it's a good idea to have a picture at the back of your mind of, you know, what is the ultimate aspiration of my customer, and then somehow can I tie that into my, you know, my messaging, or even into the product design. And by the way, it doesn't have to be something like from a moral perspective, and it doesn't have to be something psychoanalytical. Looking at the word values, you can just replace that with personality. You know, what is my customer's personality like? My typical customer. So let's say you are serving, you know, a market of 45 5 and older, versus serving a market of Generation Y and Generation Z type people in their 20s. You know, at that point you're going to understand that their values, or let's say their personalities, are going to be vastly different. And my understanding of my customer's personality is of course going to inform how I act and interact with them. Their personality or their values is also tied to their lifestyle. Now I've got articles about all of these things. If you just put any one of these words into the search bar in my on the right hand side on my website, you know, the Google search functionality, there's all kinds of, you know, product differentiation and product positioning kind of articles. And I hope you take some time to read some of that if you're interested in going down those paths. So who is my customer? So once again, looking at it from the perspective of who's likely to buy my product. You know, what needs of theirs am I satisfying? What kind of person are they from a personality perspective and their values and whatnot? And what kind of stuff do they do? You know, the lifestyle thing is actually very key to the big picture kind of marketing that is going on now. When I say big picture, what I mean is things like social media, and understanding that your message that you're putting out there is just one piece of the bigger picture, which is a whole conversation around a specific industry, let's say. So let's say you make snowboarding glasses or winter wear. So winter wear, you know, fits into this whole lifestyle of, let's say, extreme sports or snowboarding or skiing or outdoors kind of people. And those are the kinds of conversations that you're going to be linking into in the big picture. Like, for instance, on social media, you're not just going to go out onto Twitter and say, hey, pick up our new glasses, or hey, 25% off sale and all this kind of stuff, although a lot of brands do that. What you're going to want to do is find people who are in the same lifestyle group that you serve, and that you're in and that you serve. So ideally, if you're a snowboarding company, you're a bunch of snowboarders, right? That's what I have to say, and I'd like to say, and you have that mindset. So when you go out there, you gel with people in that mindset, and then you work your way back to your product in a sense of you have those lifestyle conversations about, hey, the snow at Whistler is so great this year, or, you know, does anyone know what the roads are like going to Vermont or wherever you are? Have those kinds of discussions, and then have them in a way based on the personality of the kinds of folks that you're dealing with, and then ultimately, you know, be able to plug your product from time to time as you see fit. So the where and the how is pretty straightforward, right? So if my customer's online, I go online. If my customer's offline, then, you know, I can message to them over the phone or via email, via flyers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, you know, how you message your customer, in as much as what channel you use, at the end of the day, it's very, it's like it's straightforward. You have options and you choose the best option, and along the way you become better at it. You start integrating your different channels, and so if you send something via mail, you might have an offer for them to come into your store, or if you do something online, you might connect your YouTube channel to your Twitter feed and things like that, and kind of present an integrated picture. So you integrate the message, same message in each different channel, and then you bring things together in a way that makes it exciting for your customer, so that if they buy something in the store, they get a coupon, and then they can go online, and you create this whole experience for your customer, online, offline, and all the different channels working together, not just pounding them with the same message, but trying to create some kind of environment where they can interact with you through different channels. And it might be you start with a flyer, and then you end up going online, and then you end up signing up for a trial, and then you end up doing something else, like you get a phone call, or you attend a webinar, or what have you. When I got down to what in this last iteration of talking to you on my last video about the 4 fundamentals of marketing, I realized that you could start circling back with these questions, and this is really key right here. So what I'm getting at is that these 3 fundamentals of marketing, or the 4 fundamentals technically, you can keep reapplying the same questions, at least at the who and the what level. Where and how is straightforward, but once again, if you go back to who is my customer, then you can ask, well, why is that person my customer? Or if you say, who's my customer, and then you say, how did they become my customer? Or how can I make someone who's not my customer a customer? Is that possible even? Or who's my customer, and then where's my customer? What do I say to my customer? Then when should I say something to my customer? Do I say it at the open of the sales discussion? Do I have a different message at the end of it? So on and so forth. A lot said about emotion. So when I'm speaking to my customer, what kind of emotional resonance is there? Or is there some specific kind of vision I'm trying to impart to them? Is there a specific way I should be saying certain things? How does tone come into it, and personality and things like that? A lot of this is sales. From a marketing perspective, my whole thing is you should try and have it standardized, where you've got standard website messaging, standard flyers, standard brochures. The emotional part of it, it still should be pretty standard. But let me just say that when you, as a marketing person, when you present to your salesperson an opportunity to go out and close a deal, so to speak, then I've mentioned before that as a marketing person, you show your sales guy the door, and you say, hey, behind this door is the ideal demographics, a customer of ours potentially in terms of ideal demographics, and we've talked to them already, or at least we've messaged them, they're interested, they responded to this XYZ campaign of ours, and here's some basic information about them, their name and so forth. And the sales guy then opens the door, and I've said before, as a sales guy, when you open that door and you enter the sacred kind of harem, or the presence of a potential customer, a prospect, or a suspect, or even a customer, your main focus should be that when I come out of that door and leave it, I should be invited to go back again. Next time I come knocking at that door, I shouldn't have a no answer. In fact, the guy should be standing out there waiting for me. Ideally, that's really what you want to have in place. And a friend of mine from an ex-job called that, years ago, he talked about one of his sales trainers using a term called sales tension. So if you have a relationship with your customer where you're taking them through a certain process, and you're confident about the process, right? And you're confident about your product, and you know that you've got thousands of happy customers, and even if you don't have all of that, you know that you're going to do your best for your customer. That's really the main thing. So once you take a person through that process, at each point, you're not putting any pressure, you're not trying to oversell anything or understate something, you're just being yourself and taking them through that process. But at each point in the journey, you want it so that if you leave the discussion or conversation today, you can come back tomorrow or next week or whatever, and everyone's happy, and no one's like, just tell him I'm not there. A guy telling his secretary to tell you to get lost. And so, what should I say to my customer? And then you just loop the questions back around again. So, and the whole point of it, once again, is I'm not saying that this is de facto. To me, this is de facto. Who's my customer, where's my customer, and what do I say to my customer? And the where includes a how. How do I reach them, right? Those 4 things are basically, that's it. Those 3 principles, or the 4 fundamentals, call them what you will. But the more you get into it, the more you realize it's just food for thought. Your job is to get business, to create customers. And if you can do that without having any of this in the back of your mind, more power to you, go for it. And the whole purpose of things like this should be just to get you thinking. So once we've applied the what, where, how, when, why, and wherefore once, we keep going. We just keep going down the line. So what do I say to my customer? Why do I say that to my customer? And then you get into things like positioning. You know, so for instance, what do I say to my customer? The why is once again needs. So if my customer, if the definition of what my customer is predicated around needs, then what I should say to them should also be predicated around needs. Do you see how that works? And why I say a certain thing is positioning. So ideally your positioning statement would be, we're the person that is going to A, solve your needs the best, and the cheapest and the quickest. And you know, all the other superlatives like guaranteed and you know, like yeah, in the best fashion. We're going to take care of you in the best fashion. So if you have two alternatives and one of them will take care of your needs 100%, and you're convinced of this, and you know this to be the case, and that person's got 100 customers who all testify to that fact, versus a question mark, then you'll go with the first option, right? So if you can demonstrate to your customer or get them thinking about you in terms of this, these people not only take care of my needs, they take care of my needs the best, but they also, you know, they look and sound like me, that we talk the same talk. We have the same lingo, we have the same lifestyle is ideally what it would be. So they're one of us, right? So the brand becomes one of us. The brand becomes something that a person identifies with, and it literally becomes part of their identity. So positioning, I have a little note here about Brian Tracy and competition. Brian Tracy, you may know, sales guru, he talks about how you can't have any kind of position in a sense without talking about your competition. And I just wanted to make a note about that, saying, you know, while I bow down to Brian Tracy with all deference and whatnot, my whole thing is I don't focus that much on my on my competition unless my customers bring it up, right? Why should I worry about whatever, right? You know, basically, if I design a product that solves a specific market's needs better than anything else out there, I've already dealt with the competition. You know, like my competition, the competition is essentially a product. It may or may not be a person, right? Or if you get the kind of thinking, because a lot of times people start thinking about their competition and they think about this evil boardroom in some other company where everyone there is plotting against you and basically trying to bring about your downfall. But in any case, positioning's there. Advertising as well comes into it, because as you start asking, what should we say? How should we say it? You know, could it be advertising or whatever channel? But then when as well? You know, when should we say it? At the beginning, at the end, during prime time? You know, off time? Do we say it when a person reaches a certain age in their life? You can take any one of these questions and look at it in so many different ways. So advertising is all about when as well, you know, a number of impressions, repetition, and so on and so forth. So I've reached reaching 20 minutes here. You know, time flies when you're having fun, and so the whole purpose of this exercise, you know, the 4 fundamentals of marketing part 2, is just to let you know that, you know, it's an ongoing iteration. At a certain point, once you've bagged a customer, all of this, I've realized, really does pertain to pre-sale. Post-sale, you're not really going to be asking who my customer is in terms of an existing customer, right? You're not going to say where he is if he's already a customer of yours, and what do I say to him and what not. All of this at some point becomes defunct. The last thing I did want to leave you with, dear viewer, is this concept that Jeffrey Moore talks about. Jeffrey Moore is the rainmaker guy, how to be a rainmaker, and I really encourage you to pick up and read his books. They're all really small books. How to be a CEO rainmaker, how to be a rainmaker, and things of that nature. He's an amazing guy, and he talks about this concept of show the chain and sell the link. And so this pertains to both a long-term basically a complex transaction, and it also pertains to your sales process in general. It also pertains to the customer life cycle. So let me put it to you this way. Let's say that you sell your customer a widget, and then going forward, at a certain point, once they become your customer, they go from account executive mode, which is creating the customer, they go to account management mode. And so that's from here onwards. So it's account managers then job to sell them on other parts of this chain. What is this chain? This chain, in an enterprise sense, or in terms of complex technology, you're saying to your customer, well, we want to take you from where you are today to this amazing state where all of your processes are efficient, and you're on this path. And like in the IT world or the software world where I come from, there's all kinds of roadmaps and methodologies out there. Like I was into service management, which is essentially, I don't even know how to say it in layperson's term, but service management is essentially how IT services are delivered to the business as a whole, in a sense of person wants a new computer, then how does that end up happening? They put in a request, the request goes here, and different people look at it, and then it comes back, and then there's a new computer booted up and ready to go on your desk. But you take a person through this whole trajectory of you're at this level today, and then based on best practices, a few years from now you're going to be up here. Or we've sold the person this today, and then going forward we can sell him these things down the line. At the very least, he might be interested in X, Y, Z, or branching out, and so on and so forth. So according to Jeffrey Fox, you show the whole link, and then you sell the chain. And so once you've been through all of these questions, you have essentially, in a sense, you've sold the link. And then in an ongoing fashion, as the customer becomes a long-term customer of yours, you've talked about some of these other things perhaps. That, hey, you're getting internet with us today, you might go with the phone and satellite and cable and other things tomorrow. But if not, you just have the person and you take care of their service and support needs just using the phone. But in any case, this little last piece at the end is just a bit of an added bonus, perhaps something to talk about on on a future video. You might be wondering how it ties into this at all, but it does. I guarantee you it does. So I think I'm out of time for now. Who, where, what, how, why, when. Just keep asking questions. Just think to yourself and keep asking questions. At the end of the day, my dear user, if you're here and you have a business, or you're into marketing, or you're trying to create customers, at the end of the day, the last bit of advice, the last thing I can say to you is just think. Just sit down and think, and understand that there's so many people out there that have never been to business school, that don't have degrees, that don't have a super duper education from an Ivy League school, and yet they're kicking butt and taking names, and they're growing literally multi-million-dollar companies based on just thinking and observing and experiencing, and then correcting your process, and then trying again, and then going through those kinds of iterations. So it was nice talking to you today. Once again, it's Hussein Zaidi. Don't hesitate to reach out to me. Contact information on my website, and we'll talk to you again really soon. Take care, and thanks for now.